Hello, this is Matthew Robert Payne. This is part 22 of Conversations with God. This is called The Good Samaritan. This is God speaking. I had my son tell a story in a parable about a Good Samaritan. A person asked him how he was to love his neighbor and who his neighbor was. Jesus told this story about a man that was beaten up on the side of the road, and a priest passed by and avoided him, and a Levite, God's chosen people for the priesthood, passed by him and avoided him. And finally, a Samaritan, a rejected race of the Israelis, picked him up and put him on his horse and put him on his donkey and took him to an inn and put alcohol on his wounds and dressed his wounds, and went away for a time and paid the publican money to look after the guy and feed him. And he returned and looked after the guy. Jesus just said, go and do likewise. It's a shame that we live in a modern society, and you live in communities of churches and Christians assume that they're the Good Samaritan. Today, you don't see many people beaten up on the side of the road like this guy was, but you do see people beaten up by life on the side of the road, and they represent the homeless. And the Good Samaritan is a person who addresses the homeless needs and bids good tidings to the homeless. And it's very rare that a Christian will do that. Christians do what the priest and the Levite does. They avoid the homeless. They don't even look into the homeless eyes in case the homeless person begs them for money. And when they're asked for money, they lie and they say they haven't got any spare change. It's a sad indictment for the church and for people who call themselves Christians, because John says, if you can't love the one you're looking at, how does the love of God abide in you? And it's truly a shame that a parable of Jesus can be so misrepresented and not understood in the modern times. I have a heart for all the broken in the world. Homeless people very much so have slipped through the cracks, have lost their identification, aren't supported by government pensions, and have to beg on the streets, and they live on the streets. And it's very unfortunate. And they live a sad way of life. There's can be TV reports that says the homeless make a lot of money and not to give the homeless money. I'm God, and I see everything, and there's very few rich homeless people around. They haven't got big screen TVs, they haven't got Apple iPhones, they haven't got home computers, they haven't got a flushing toilet, they haven't got a microwave, they haven't got the convenience of your own home, and they live destitute. If you don't get anything from this book, if you just get one thing from this book, start to treat the homeless with some dignity. Start to stop when a homeless person is begging, and start to give them money or buy them food or buy them a drink. Stop and converse with them and ask them how their day is. Ask them how they ended up on the streets and what's preventing them from getting off the streets. Treat the homeless people as a human. You wouldn't live in such conditions. You wouldn't do the same to yourself. You'd cry out to friends and live at friends' places. You wouldn't end up on the streets yourself. Jesus says to love others as you would love yourself. And because you wouldn't do it to yourself, because you wouldn't allow it to happen to yourself, the same should be true of the homeless. You should be treating them as you treat yourself. I'm trying to be merciful in this conversation. I'm trying to be personable and kind in what I say, but it's abhorrent to me. It's very hard for me to overlook the injustice of it all. These people have done nothing wrong. These people have got mental illness and are stuck in addictions. And my people who call on my name, my people who pray to me each day, my people who confess the name of Jesus, they ignore the homeless, they ignore the brokenhearted, and the majority of Christians don't even pay them time of day. And it's unjust and it's injustice. And there's plenty of promises in the Bible that say that you'll get rewarded if you take mercy on the homeless, if you have mercy on the poor. There's enough promises in the Bible to reassure you, if you're looking for due payback. You may wonder, how can you look after every homeless person? You haven't got unlimited money. I'm not saying look after every homeless person, but I'm saying stop for one of them. Mark this part of the book and pay special attention to this part of the book, and make a point of changing your attitude and stopping for the homeless and giving them some spare change or buy them a meal. Change your heart. If you're a regular reader of Matthew's books, he mentions the homeless quite a bit, because at one stage in Matthew's life, he was homeless himself. So he understands the plight of the homeless. Matthew speaks, I lived homeless in a homeless hostel for 6 months, and I understand the thoughts of the homeless. I understand the backgrounds of the homeless, and they're regular people, and they've got emotions and feelings, and they need one meal a day at least to live. Oftentimes, the homeless in Australia, if they haven't got a permanent address, they can't get social security. They can't get an income off the government. They've got to arrange for a place for their postage to go, and if they haven't got a home address, that can be hard for them. The homeless are beautiful people, and they may smell and they may be dirty, and I challenge you to live on the streets without showers, and keep your hygiene up to par. I have a lot of pity and emotion for the homeless, and I love them. And Jesus' parable about the Good Samaritan was about a person who did something about the injustice, is a person that spent money and spent time and spent resources on the person that had been beaten up by the side of the road. Unless you're spending resources, unless you're spending your money, unless you're spending your time comforting a broken person, then you're not being a good Samaritan. And if the Good Samaritan was a parable that indicated whether you're going to heaven or not, the majority of the Christian church wouldn't be going to heaven. So I challenge you to change your attitude when it comes to the homeless and to the poor, to the brokenhearted in your church, the single mother that attends your church, the mother who works 2 jobs to provide for her children. Take the mother out and buy some clothes for her children. Take the mother shopping and buy a whole lot of food for her. It's not just the homeless that need to be looked after, it's the poor. And even people who are on a pension in the West, even people on Social Security in the West, are rich compared to people in the East. And I challenge you to dig deep and have mercy and provide justice for the injustice of the streets. God bless you.